Dr. Clyde Winter and on their name, put some respect. Yeah. I think it's time for reality check. Yeah, reality check. Gotta get you back on cold. Reality check. For the young and the old. Reality check. Yeah, to heal your soul. Reality check. Get ready for the show.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Dr. Winters. Dr. Winters, are you there? You muted.
They didn't want to turn me on. They didn't want anybody to hear me. Why should they hear me? Why?
No, of course they should hear you. That's why
No,
they're here, to hear you. Well,
not really. It's very interesting that my browser doesn't want to cooperate. I don't even see myself, so it's really interesting. Do you hear me?
I do, and it's a nice big picture of us right now.
Yeah. It's just one. I really don't understand what's been going on lately. But again, how you doing, family? I'm glad to see you guys here. JP, what up, dude? Hi, Jalen, Persad, and Yoshimod. Whoa. What? Wait. What? Facebook user, what up?
Peace to the room. And thank y'all for being here tonight. What's up, Yoshi?
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about this whole idea of what is this whole idea of something that's very hard because playing football, I see pain as being just pain, but then again, you seem to have a deeper thought about it.
I do. And it's interesting that you start with football because this saying, pain is weakness leaving the body, right? I heard that every day of my life during track practice. My coach was very much a person telling us that, we could just get through it, we'll be stronger at the end of the day. And I wonder if that's a principle that we can apply to, different circumstances. Like, is it just something that, you would use in exercise or in a sport in order to get to the next level or not, and I think that maybe since pain is a complex emotion or feeling, then it is something that we can, use across different environments. But I guess that's kind of where I wanted to get your thoughts and see how we can dissect this issue of pain.
What did you run?
I ran the 4x8, but really I was a field events person. I threw the shot put and the discus.
Get out of here!
Yeah,
you didn't throw the shot put, did you?
I did. I threw the shot and I threw the discus, and I was a little powerhouse.
Oh wow! I ran the 220. I used to throw the shot put too. So I used to. Yeah, but the interesting thing about it is that when you play sports, pain is a constant. I used to think about when my wife would be having the babies, and and those times, a couple of times I was at work and it happened, because she was in the hospital. Because the more babies you have and the older you get, look like they don't work out as good with those old ones, just kind of sick. But I remember I was at the whenever she would be having a baby, all these people around would say, "Motherfucker, kiss my ass! I hate you. You're no good." And she'd be sitting there like a frontier woman. She would never say a sound, and boom, and then there would come the kids. So I always felt she was very sickly in a way, I guess, but I always felt that women could take pain easier than me, because if I stub my toe, hey, I'm out of it. I am out of it. You
That's
know,
funny. They got the whole stereotype of the fathers who pass out, in the delivery room because it's just so gruesome.
it
And
is.
and then, y'all are scared of us that time of the month. Some cultures put us in a whole other area of the house because, that
Yeah.
bleeding and not dying thing. So maybe there's something there with the
Yeah, it
pain.
is something there, maybe. But I wanted my baby all the time. That was my baby down. I wanted her all the time. She probably would. I mean, that's the way I felt. But again, the thing is, this is that I just enjoy being with her a lot. But when I think back to it, is that you know, this idea of pain, this idea of how do you release it, and the thing is, this is that I always felt even now a lot of times I had to go when I go to the doctor and they want to give me an a blood to draw blood.
Mhm.
And my veins on my arm are real bad, so they had to put the thing through my hand. So I
Mm.
always look away, and then when and,
Oh man.
and all these women looking at me like I'm a fool, but it's hurting. Hey. But then why do but when I think about it, you know, it seems like to me, talking to my wife and talking to other women, it seems as though women are always under threat. You know what I'm saying? You always got people want to molest you. I mean, even when you're a kid, I'm just going off what she was talking
Mhm.
about and some other women. Women always want to. I mean, men always want to molest you. When I got in seventh grade, I felt I had the right to feel on every girl's butt that they got in my face doing recess, because that's what you're supposed to do as seventh graders, touch their ass, and that is not right. But at the same time, you have these cultural things that you do, and often in a sense you wonder, is this really correct? But then how do you evaporate this pain? Because like you said, playing football, my coaches always said you never hurt. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. I don't want to see your ass dirty. I don't want to see any dirt on your ass. Get up, run, 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 jump, run, jump, run. And it makes you feel kind of superhuman. But then at the same time, in a sense, you brought up a very important fact, and you said every day this week you've been confronted with that whole idea. How are you confronted? How you doing, Breeze Omega?
I think that how much somebody can take, and then how you deal with the next thing. And all week it's been, tit for tat. At least, I say something and then there's a contrarian or someone who wants to dissect what I've said to a level of scrutiny that I feel is unwarranted. But inside of transparency, I don't necessarily shy away from that type of thing,
Was
even
that
though
at work? Was it at work or just at the grocery store
no, just
or family?
in these internet dealings with people. I find that I'm having a lot of conversations with people, and they're painful. They're painful because uh, they're like a reminder of an accountability moment, but it's also a reminder that it's not over. Like, so then all of these questions are coming, and it's not that questions aren't something that people use to gain clarity, but the questions are insensitive, insensitive to the point where it's like,
Hmm.
you need to know that to get to the level of understanding that you have now, or so what are we doing here? And from there, it's like, well, how much is somebody supposed to take of this type of questioning before they stop answering questions? And then when people stop answering questions, is that to their detriment, or is it helpful for the situation? And I just keep coming back to all of the painful reminders, and then
But what
how
were
do
the
you
what were the
with it?
questions and what were the conversations related to?
They were related to all of this violation that's happened with Jeremy, and from there, it's like, if people have heard that I've been violated, and they agree that violations are a violation, then why are all of these other questions, such as intricate details of personal dealings, why does that matter if at the end of the day we all understand and have come to the same conclusion that if you violate somebody, that's wrong?
Hmm. But you know, but
Pretty
then
cut and dry to me.
what about Jeremy? I'm not hip. I'm sorry.
Oh no, Jeremy, Jason Black, Jeremy. You know, that's his real name. I have a hard time calling him Jason because I actually know real Jason. So then it gets dicey. People are like, well, you know, I'm Jason. You know, I'm Jason for real. I'm gonna call him his name, Jeremy.
Zachary Holmes, how you doing? Hero Goon, Devin JB, Vicus B3. What up? Oh, so violations are deep, but it's very interesting. You know, I remember when I was in university, and my wife had called me. We weren't married then, you know. She was still in high school, and so she had went to this place with her friend, and so she had went to this place, and when she got in there, her friend had took her to this place with a lot of thugs, you know. And so then these thugs started talking to her and said, "Hey, you know, you real pretty. You know, you're gonna be my girlfriend." And she said, "I already got a boyfriend." I'm just imagining how she sounds. Well, she said, they said, "Fuck that boyfriend, you mine now," and that's what it's gonna be. And so, you know, she said he talked a whole lot of stuff, and I was very angry because I was 300 miles away down in Urbana. And so then I started thinking about this whole idea about, you know, many men, because of the fact, in a sense, I feel they don't have any game. But even though they don't have any game, what I mean by game, family, is that, you know, as being able to talk to girls, girls be able to talk to men, you know, you be able to hold a conversation with anybody. It doesn't have to be a deep conversation, but you're able to hold a conversation. That's what I call having game, you know. But then what happens is that many men, because they don't have game, they want to threaten women. They want to. It's like the way these rap songs are coming out now. It's like they've created a rape culture in which, because of the fact that they can threaten violence, you know, and they want to create pain, they feel that women should do what they say. I don't know. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
I guess, you know, at the end of the day, it is very aggressive, you know, what's going on. And I just feel like people should be reciprocal, or at least accept reciprocal energy. And then from there, to me, at the end of the day, if people have agreed that something wrong has happened, why haven't we gotten to a solution about what's wrong? And then since they don't want to get to a solution, it seems like they want to stew in essentially my pain at this point. You know, all of this has been an experience, and I don't know why people get put on pause. But, you know, how much can someone take, and does it make someone stronger to continually go through said fire, right?
No, it does make you stronger. My mother lied. I love my mom, and I knew she meant to save me from harm. But you know, she told me, she said that you're never. She said that God only gives you as much as you can handle in terms of you know, pain and suffering. But what I found is that God doesn't have anything to do with it. You experience the pain and suffering. And then when you experience the pain and suffering, it's overwhelming to you. But you just live through it. You just live through it, you know.
Right.
And because you live through it, then people are able to say, "Oh, well, they didn't give you too much more than you can handle. We gave you plenty that you couldn't handle." But it's just that you had to keep going. You just had to keep going, you know. And the thing is this, is that, you know, it's very hard on you. It's very hard on you. And it's really hard in a sense, I think, to really release pain, you know. I remember my wife, I keep going back to her, but you know, and she was, I remember back in the day. And so one day to be mean, her cousin said, your father's not married to your mama. And she said, "You're lying. Why are you telling me that?" You know. And so then when she said that, she got into a very deep depression, you know. But I had said, well, I always figured that your mom and dad wasn't married, because Your mom always called him daddy. And that was like in the, I'm a historian, so I said that was like in the 30s and 40s. That's what people would call a guy, and they would call a woman mama, And but see, when you get married, you call your mate by your partner by his name. Get your ass over here or whatever. I know you wouldn't do that. You're not like that.
Of course.
But some women would do that. And so then, so you want to do a real big depression. She was sick. She couldn't get out of bed for a couple of weeks and stuff. And I was very angry at her. I was very, very angry at her because I felt she had a lot of nerve. That why should she, that wasn't nothing to get upset about to me.
Right.
Because see, that wasn't my pain. That wasn't my pain. But then a year later, my mother and father let me down because I needed their help and they let me down. And then I got depressed. I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to get up and stuff. And I said, damn, is that how she felt?
Oh man.
And then I said, damn, you don't really sometimes have the strength to really deal with these things because when people let you down, I think those are the most painful things, is when people let you down, when you build up some idea about these people and you've given them some sort of prestige, just like me. I listen to the Black Authority every now and then, but I always saw the Black Authority as a weak man, even though he's got the business. I've always seen him as a weak man because until Kevin Samuels died, anytime a woman would call, he would in a sense, cut that woman off and cut her off. And I said, damn, some woman must have hurt you bad in your life. And I just said this to myself, I said because see, he can't really have the patience to really listen to a woman because he and so then I don't, and I still believe some women in a sense really taught him that he wasn't all that. And I think he tries to cover it up now because he wants to, in a sense, get those views and get that nice check, that I'll never get that nice check for getting all those views. But again, in a sense, is that, but sometimes people, they don't know how to divorce themselves from always trying to set out those images. And see, people create images because images is what hold you back. What do you think?
I think that's very real. I think that, well, the first thing you talked about with your wife's depression versus your depression, I think that people can relate to that in a very real way because, something that made you sad or made her sad, it's more than that. It was a debilitating type of.
It is.
You're immobile. And then you trying to articulate that to someone who hasn't experienced it, or let's just say like the loss of a parent or the loss of a spouse. I haven't lost a spouse. You have. I don't know what that pain's like, right? Or are your parents alive? I don't know.
Oh no, they died, but
so
they didn't affect me as much as my wife though. I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah, well, I mean it's the woman you sired, had reared children with. You made your babies with her, your legacy. That makes sense. But before I lose my thought, because I was about to, we both lost parents, but how I took my loss, you might not have took the same loss, right? So even though we have the same type of loss, even that type of trying to gauge each other's pain and say my pain was more than your pain, unless somebody's just out here saying, well, it didn't affect me at all. But then I'd say that that's a whole other thing that person might need to talk to somebody about that in general, just not feeling one way or another about the loss of a parent. So, there might be some other things going on there, but at the end of the day, people trying to articulate to someone what stops them or what halts them in their tracks it's almost like explaining a nightmare.
It's worse than a nightmare.
But, at least a nightmare or at least if you're a person who remembers your dreams, you can talk about it. You can say that I couldn't move. I don't really know what else was going on, but I know I couldn't move and I didn't like it. Or, I was was naked in the showroom and everybody was looking at me. You know, you can articulate what it is that caused you such fright, but
when I was in college, they could look at me naked. Now they might get sick. But go ahead. Forgive me.
That some people's, that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Some people's nightmares, other people something else.
Yeah.
You know, people forget that, you know, when it's not them in that seat, in that pain chair or whatever. And then from there, you know, I think that people can get insensitive. So you know, what you were talking about with your wife's depression versus your depression, you know, she might not have thought it was as bad as it was, but I wonder, how did she treat you? Did she?
She was compared. I mean, she had cleaned shit off my ass when I had been sick. So what could I say? See, the whole point is this, that we were friends and partners. And the thing is this, that, excuse me, family, for cussing, because you might have children out there. How you doing, Lindy Tillman, Mr. Sharp? But this is an adult conversation, so I'll go there. But again, in a sense, is that my wife, what she had is that she was a very mature person, very mature, and because she's very mature, very militant, and she didn't mind dying. You know, you don't like people when they're young and they don't mind dying, because when people don't mind dying, they live life every day, because they don't feel tomorrow is gonna maybe be there, you know.
Right.
But the thing is this: is she treated me well, but again, in a sense, I hate the fact is that I had to learn that in that way. I mean, why Eve? Maybe you can help me with this. Why sometimes do we have to have extreme pain to learn, to really understand another person's feeling? Why is that necessary? I don't think it's nice. How you doing, Mona Lisa?
Maybe it's empathy. You know, people don't get enough chances to practice it or experience it, so it's a little foreign to them. And then other people, you know, they are empaths. You know, they can feel when other people don't even want to share. So from there, they can move the best way to move. I think empaths are extremely giving, and it's probably extremely tiring to not be able to turn that off. So, you know, in your family dynamic, or, you know, or in your work dynamic, or just when you're around people, if you can always just know that something else is going on, you know, their okays or hidden or secret messages for, you know, something else is wrong, but I can't really talk to you about it right now, you know. And then if you're a person that people open up to, well, now you're just this safe haven of sorts, because they can dump all of that pain on you, because it's not your pain. But sometimes, you know, you take that pain on because it's easier than making that person deal with whatever it was that was causing them the pain, you know. So I guess maybe that's a starting point.
Maybe, but I don't know, because see, you also had to look at it, pain also from strength. You see, I always looked at strength as being the most important thing in my life. I felt that to be a real man, you had to be strong, you know. And I felt that because my father, I saw my father as a pillar, as a pillar of stone. I found his little ass as being really strong, you know. He's smaller than me, you know. I was listening to Dewan the other day. Dewan V. The other day, he's talking about him and his partner was talking about when they tried to get smart with their fathers, you know. Because when you get around 14, 15, you want to try your old man.
Waters.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, because I remember once my son, one of my sons, he wanted to kind of wrestle with me. So we was in the kitchen, and so my wife looked at me, and so then I had to really do him a job real bad. I didn't hurt him, but I just had to, you know, I had to show him that, hey, I'm still the boss.
Yeah.
But this whole idea in terms of strength, you know, because I felt as long as I could pick up my wife, I was strong. When I got in my 60s, I couldn't pick her up, so I knew I was old.
Oh.
I knew I was old. When I couldn't pick her little 140 pounds up, I was old, you know. And so then the thing is this, is that it's the strength, it's weakness, you know, but at the same time, you know, why is it that people, people like to magnify your pain? I think sometimes, don't you think so? That they like to magnify your pain. They want you to feel, in a sense, much more depressed, much more down. They want your limbs to hurt a little bit more. So it's kind of interesting, I think, that they want to do that. Maybe that's what happened this week when they wanted to talk about Jeremy. I don't know.
It's possible. But I like to work out, I like to exercise. And I'm finding that, when you do your reps, if you're just a person who goes in there and you get your 4 sets of 10 or your 3 sets of 12 or whatever, you just, I see people just doing the motions. And it wasn't until I paused, I slowed a lot of things down. And, I went for, slow and steady and control, time under tension, that I really saw gains in my development. And it hurts, that's physically tired after the gym a lot of times. And, but at the end of the day, I get a chance to recover. My muscles get a chance to repair themselves. And I can, now I'm a little bit stronger every day, a little bit stronger. So,
Well, that's good discipline. My wife used to like to exercise. She always kept her figure and stuff. And, we'd walk every day a couple of miles, and then she would do exercise and stuff. She wasn't like me, became a couch potato. But the thing is this, though, how you doing, Devin? And, but the thing is this, though, is that what I find is that it's how you work things out, it's how you get things out. But then at the same time, is that moving away and trying, in a sense, to corral pain. I think that's one of the hardest things, is to corral pain, because, growing up, I used to have sometimes migraine headaches back when I was younger. But then we got over that because, see, back in the day, you could take stuff out of the mattress and you could roll it up in newspaper and you could smoke it. And it would, I don't know what that stuff was. Maybe, I don't know what it was.
Toxic.
But, you could take it out of your mattress and you could roll it up and smoke it in newspaper. It would take away your headache. Now, whatever they got in the mattress, I think it'll kill you. But it's just that. Do you think it was different ways to deal with pain back in the day as opposed to today? Or what do you think? Because I mean, we've always had these issues of pain. We've always had to deal with these situations. If you don't mind, what was the if you don't mind, you said everybody kept bringing up this Jeremy thing. What was that? I don't know if you want to discuss it or not. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Just the invasion of privacy from the violation. And then from there, since everybody agrees that is what happened, because at first there were people saying that they didn't even know that this happened. So I'm empathetic to that, that type of narrative, because nobody is online all the time except for the people who are online all the time, right? So I get that. People are living their actual lives like I'm trying to, right? But now and then where are we? And the now where are we has turned into this magnifying glass lens of more questions that I don't feel do anything more than give you more information about my personal life. It's to the point where people have asked for evidence of, and I'm saying, so you want me to send you the thing that I never consented to be out there anyway? Is that what you just asked me? And then they've had to think about it, like, yeah, actually,
they want you to send it.
But that's wild. It was never supposed to be out there anyway. What are we talking about, you guys? And then I realized that people will stew in confusion, but be insensitive to the parties involved. And but not just talking about me at this point. I have a whole family, children. This is not going to and hasn't only affected me. So it just.
But the thing is, this is that it also reflects on the character of the person, And I've always been suspicious of that guy anyway, so it doesn't matter with me. Because see, the thing is, this is that I just never liked guys who didn't have game. They didn't know how to deal with girls, and so it doesn't surprise me that he did that. But the point is, this is that he still have so many followers and so many supporters, and that's kind of strange to me. But
that's a little painful, right? Because I feel like if we're all fighting for the same thing, are we all fighting for the same thing? Or
no,
there's
no.
something happened along the way, and
We're not all fighting for the same thing. Just like you said in terms of pain, just like you said in terms of reality. Back in the day, when I would walk around and people knew, say, "They go that black man," and I look around and we all black, but they would call me that black man, because I was the history man. I knew a lot about. I was always talking about our purpose, our future, and things like that. And then you had other people walking around with afros, especially the girls. A lot of girls had beautiful afros, but they didn't. But it wasn't in their heart. They didn't have an Afrocentric heart. They just had an Afrocentric hair, nice hair and stuff. I had a nice fro too. You can see some of my younger pictures. But the thing is this though, is that what I found is that you have to have some sincerity. And to me, I've always wanted to judge people. Maybe it's wrong. I want to judge people on their behavior, not always what they say. And so given the fact that this person would do that, I don't see why people really look up to him and see him as such such as a stalwart person in the black community. To me, you can't separate those things. You can't separate a person's bitch behavior, and then feel that person is really for black people. That's what I feel. Because see, if you do it to one black person, you've done it to all of us. That's what I see it as, And the thing is, but that's just me. But I have a right. I have a right to feel the way I feel because I wasn't a follower. I wasn't always with these people, And it's very sad. Like this past week, and I'm a Canubian. I look at Greg Carr and Karen Hunter, and they have a nice show, and they really feel they're Afrocentric. They really feel they're Black Power. But they're ready to vote blue no matter what. Mm. They're ready to support Biden. And then the other day he was talking about how can you say you're foundational black? How can you be a black? And then he's supposed to be an Egyptologist. And the people in Kemet, they call themselves black. Kemetru. They said that country was the black land. And yet here he's trying to tell you that you can't call yourself a foundational black American when you're calling yourself black. That means that you're hooking up with the ancestors. Mm-hmm. That means that you're going back to recognizing yourself because see, to me, family, Eve, to me, we are the new Egyptians. We're the most dynamic blacks in the past 2,000 years, in terms of what we've done for the culture, in terms of our inventions, the inventions we made. I mean, the everyday inventions we made that really made life better for people around the world. Right. We even made the telephone work. We made the first computers. We made the first programming. We made the first cell phones. We made the transistor, which everything electronic operates on. The whole foundations of the scientific world, we made it. We just didn't make any money. So then when you have a brother, in a sense, who can do such dastardly things, and then feel very, very calm about it, and then try to act like he can advise people on relationships. How can you advise people on relationships? Get out of here. Nigga what?
Nigga what?
yes, ma'am. Nigga what? It is true. Because see, I just don't, like I said, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And even though he can be a member of the new black media, I like the new black media. I believe in a lot of it, but everybody has their shortcomings. We have what's called, we have these different feelings, and because we have these different feelings, sometimes what can happen is that we can sometimes ignore people because we want to make them right even though they're wrong. Why is that?
Is it? I think it's a pedestal complex. I think you were talking about it earlier. We can pedestalize people or have an image of them. We've actually talked about this a few times because people have their own view of you, and it might have zero to do with you and everything to do with what they think they see or what they think they know. And then now you've been blanket statemented with this person's view of you. So it's an unfair situation to be in. However, I think that if you don't take it seriously, the fact that people do look at you how they look at you, and maybe not necessarily how you've told people to look at you. I think there's a responsibility in caring for that image if it's an image that you haven't denied, right? So it would be different if people are out here calling you king and you're saying, I'm not king, but they're calling you king anyway, then, there's a disconnect between you and the people, and maybe a conversation should be held. But if they're out here calling you king and you're like, yeah, I'm the king, then you absolutely have a responsibility to, that image. In the same aspect where we name ourselves, or at least we tell people what to call us. And then from there, people can have their view of you. The same way people look at, really ghetto names, they have a view of you because your name is whatever ghetto name you want to insert into the, air quotes.
Like, how you doing, Michi Hendo? All the way free, Deisha Essex. I used to have a thing about I didn't feel people should name their daughters Tasha, because Tasha mean the place of the devil, and I felt sometimes you can make a mistake and name your kid the wrong thing. Because one of my second son, I gave him a bad name, and I shouldn't have gave him that name, and I gave him the name that he was good and bad, and that's what he turned out to be, good and bad.
Oh man,
I love the hell out of him. But the thing is this, though, is that I made a mistake, I made a mistake. And the thing is this, I didn't understand how important naming was, growing up in America and going up to the city and, being in the city, instead of maybe down south, it would have been different because it would have been old people around to really tell my parents what to do, and then they would have been around to tell me what to do. And the thing is this, is that a lot of times, you don't. So you try to make life the way it is. Devin said, why can't we as people just be who they are? Why do you care what people feel about you? It's not true. Why does it matter? Because the whole point is this, is that we lie to ourselves, Devin. We lie to ourselves and we tell ourselves we don't care when we do care. See, nobody really knows you, Devin. People create an idea. When I was in high school, when I was in high school, this is how they saw me. They saw me, oh, he's on the football team. But then I had a teacher once who was teaching Black history. And one day I asked him a question and he said, stay in your place, you're a football player. So he was saying I was dumb, you see, because I played football. And so everybody had these pictures. When I used to tell the girls on the West Side, you're real handsome. Let's make a baby. Why the fuck I want to make a baby? And I'm 17. Maybe 18, I don't know. But the thing is this, is that what I'm saying is that, Devin, people create who you are. And so sometimes it does make you sad when people don't know the real you. But who gives a damn? Like you said, I don't care. You don't care, but you do care. You do care. It's just like the image that you create for your children. When you create an image for your children, you can either be that big bad man, you can be that man who torture your wife or your husband, or you can be that man who shows affection, shows attention to your wife, shows attention to your children, can be willing to say you're sorry. We're always creating images. But at the same time, when you're a public figure, then therefore, in a sense, you should set an example that people can look up to. I am a historian. People know I'm a cranky historian. People know, in a sense, I might say anything. But the point is this, I try to back it up with receipts. I might even say that that I might fight you because I'm not gonna lie, man. Shit, I got 21 seconds of thunder. After that, help me up off the ground. But the thing is, this is that, it's what do you do? What do you do? How do you how do you get rid of that weakness? See, that's a weakness. And it's painful for you. It's very painful for you. Because see, you don't want people to see that weakness, Devin. You don't want people to know that deep down you do care. I mean, it's just like when I was growing up. I'm sorry, Eva, I'm talking too much. But back when I was in high school, you come to school, at lunchtime, you had to be ready. As a brother back in the 60s, when you went to lunch in high school, you had to strap up, because people was gonna be at the table talking about your mama. And if you couldn't talk back, and if you started crying or wanted to fight, then people would laugh at you. The way I would do it, I used to rhyme. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Your mama, she full of Jack went up the hill, they found a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and your mom was on her knees. But anyway, everything this is that. But see, you had to do that. That was because that was part of being a high school. I don't know now. I don't know if other people did it, but that was high school back in the 60s. At lunchtime, you had to be ready. It was mama jokes. One day I came out. I was going out. I was going somewhere, and so my sons was on the front porch, and they're saying mama jokes. I said, "What do you say, mama jokes?" I said, "Your mama's in there. Why are you making it?" Well, we just got to get ready. What the hell is this? We got to get ready for roasting, And the thing is, this is that it's these different things, it's different stuff. But you have to set an example. It's one thing that people will say about Dr. Winters is that Dr. Winters, he stands by what he says. Number one. Number two, Dr. Winters will bring receipts, sometimes maybe too many receipts, you see. But the point is this, is that if you're a public speaker, if you claim you're a member of the new black media and you did whatever he did, whatever he did, if it was that terrible, and if you did something to really be disgraceful for a woman, if you did something in the sense that to go away from your from your ability to hold, how can I say it, the whole thing? Okay, for example, you see, if you're a preacher, you're supposed, if somebody talks to you and they tell you something in confidence, as a preacher, you should never tell it, And that's the way it is, you see. Mm-hmm. And so then when you see a preacher who will broadcast to the public what somebody's told them in private, that shows that that's not a good preacher. And so it's the same way. If somebody can try to denigrate a black woman, and they're a black man, and they're supposed to be a king, but he's really a Cain, then there's something wrong there, something wrong there. But it's the whole idea is that what can possess you? What can possess you to want to do that? What can possess you to want to really embarrass someone? What can possess you to really want to try to denigrate them when you're supposed to build each other up as black people? I don't know. That's what I feel. I feel we should be building each other up instead of tearing each other down.
The whole conversation keeps coming back to we're a hurt people. At least for me, the conversation keeps going back to our trauma and this epigenetic pain that we've been suffering at the hands of not ever receiving reparative justice. So to me, all of it's resource related, resource based. If we had certain resources, then certain people would have been able to get help for, whatever it is they're having issues with. But, I think that the whole reason that some people say we shouldn't get reparations because we wouldn't know how to spend it, I guess that is another part of the conversation. If you have the resources, maybe you don't get the help, so there's just a person out here with a lot of money and, just a lot of hurt. And when you keep all of that, then maybe you hurt other people, because that's you maybe.
Like some people say, hurt people hurt people. No, hurt people the hurt person who hurt somebody else's asshole. That's the way it is to me. That's the way I see it, you know.
Simple.
But again, as I said, is that my father taught me how to fight. My father taught me, in a sense, that I should fight for what I believe in, you know, and you know, and because he taught me that, then that's just the way I see things. I had to call a spade, you know. You know, it's just very hard, you know. And the thing is, this is that what do you do? Because see, if you assimilate any evil inside of you, and then we can't always blame it on trauma, because we experience trauma every day. Dragon Ball Z, right on, bye bye. But again, in a sense, is that Amir. But we're always experiencing. But is everything a trauma? You see, you know. And this is what I was thinking about today. I was looking at 19 Keys, and he was talking to you know, to the sister, you know, that's in the New Black Media. And so then she was talking about how she can communicate with the metaphysical plane, you know. But then at the same time, in a sense, is that you have to stand on something. You have to stand on something. And when you find a person doesn't, if a person says he stands on something and he does anything to deviate away from it, I'm sorry, I can't believe you. I can't follow you. You see, and that's just the way it is. Maybe I'm putting too much. Maybe I'm putting too much on it, but that's the way it is. You see, that's because of the way I approach religion. When I was younger, and I felt that if I wanted people to believe in God, they had to see me acting as though I believed in God. And so then, even though in a sense I may carry pain, even though I may carry you know, sorrow, and in a way that pain is weakness, I have to find a way. I had to find a way to overcome that, so that in a sense I wouldn't demonstrate to those people, because I felt that just like me, I stopped being a Christian when I was 10 years old, and I saw the preacher going with one of the women in the church. And I felt you're not supposed to do that, you know. And I shouldn't have cared. I should have, if I would have been around my father, he would have said, ho, 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 ho. But anyway, he wasn't there, you know, because back in the day, your mama would say on Sunday, everybody get dressed, y'all go to church. And then we all go to church and still be watching Flash Gordon. That was a show back in the day that used to come on and while we was at church. But the thing is this, is that you had to set an example, you see. But then I think about weakness and strength and weakness, and it's how do you release it? You know, when you look at that picture, I love that picture, the thumbnail for this week, because I think that's what it is that when you get around a bunch of people and they can shed that pain, I think it does cause electricity. I think it does ignite the universe. It does make us think about things and see. This is so important, you know. And oh yeah, this is what she was doing. She had talked about the Bible, and there was a phrase in the Bible is that when you get a woman, she's your jewels. She's your jewels. She's like diamonds and gems, you know. And then I think about you know, the Black Authority and Kevin, and they talk about it in the sense that women, what do they bring to the table? And that's what they bring to the table. Because see, when I think about my wife in a sense, I was happy. She made me very happy. You know, no matter what I experienced at work or what I experienced out in the real world, when I came home, I always had a place where I could go and I could feel that I had a sanctuary. I could feel in the sense that I had peace, you know, and that's important, I think, as a man or as a woman, you know. But right now, let's we're going to take a minute or two and look at some commercials. What did you want to talk about?
Yeah.
You want to present?
I can. As you guys know, we have our shop, justeveagain.etsy.com, and we've got all of these wonderful goodies there for you. If the math ain't mathin' for you, like it's not mathin' for me, then maybe you would check it out. I don't know why it's on that side, but justeveagain.etsy.com. And you will be able to check out the hoodie that we have for sale. I think that it speaks a very profound statement that people are seeing things and wanting them to make sense. So the math ain't mathin'. It didn't come from Taraji, y'all. No, I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. Dr. Winters, let me ask you this, right? How come Black people can make up something and then another Black person in a whole other area can come up with the same thing at the same time? Like, what is that?
That's called morphogenic fields, you know. Rick Ramasanji back in what, about 80, 81, 82. He noticed that when you train mice, they noticed that you could train mice to run a maze in New York, and then over time, these mice in a sense would be able to run the same maze over in London, you know.
Oh,
and so Rick Ramasanji said it must be in a sense, and so a morphogenic fields, and that these morphogenic fields allow people in a sense to get the same idea that you may have, even though in another place. He used, for example, he talked about the fact that many insects, sometimes you can find new insects. And he felt that the reason that you can find these new insects was because of the fact is that they would fall from outer space, you know, when it would rain. So he was saying that every time it would rain, these new insects, you know, that are living in outer space, they would fall down to earth. So this is my interpretation of morphogenic fields. This is just my interpretation. What I feel is this, is that I have to use myself as an example. When I'm really working hard and I'm really doing some really good research and I'm really producing some good papers, or I'm really writing up something, I have to go urinate a lot, you know. And so because of the fact that you go urinate a lot, remember in a sense that everything that you produce has a genetic profile. Everything you produce is a gene, and genes are very tiny. And so then what I feel is that because of the fact that when you urinate in a sense, you know, that water, the urine is taken out to the reservoir, and in the reservoir it evaporates, it goes up into the sky, and then it comes down as rain somewhere else. And I think somebody else in a sense may pick up that idea. And because of the fact that they may pick up that idea, then therefore, in a sense, you know, they're able in a sense to possibly get the idea that you were really working on, you know. And stuff
deep.
Go ahead. Well, so it's kind of deep, but yeah. I want to do a little thing where I want to talk about the give another commercial, and this commercial relates to Yoshimod, and so let's check this out.
Hey V1 family, I'm excited to tell you about something super special and educational. This Black History Month, Yoshimod has created an amazing collection of PDFs all about incredible Black inventors and their amazing achievements. Do you know about Mae Jemison, the first FBA woman astronaut? Or Percy Julian, who made groundbreaking discoveries in chemistry? These are just a couple of the amazing people you'll learn about in these PDFs. These PDFs are perfect for teachers, homeschooling parents, or anyone who loves learning. They're filled with fun facts and inspiring stories that make learning about Black history exciting. Only $3 for a journey through history with some of the most influential Black inventors and scientists. Just click the link in the description to grab your copies from Yoshimod's Gumroad store. And don't forget to check out Yoshimod's other amazing creations and music on Spotify. Let's learn, have fun, and celebrate Black history together.
You know, family, that was one commercial. I have a couple of more. Let me see.
That's
what's that?
I said, that's what's up. The Black History Month. I think people should definitely go support.
Yeah, it's almost over.
I know.
Here's another little short commercial. important. Here's another. Hey, I've just written a new book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of America. Yes, I've written a new book. This book is called History and Culture of Afro Americans. It's about the Aboriginal Americans. It's about the first people who inhabited America. Many people don't know about our great culture, this super culture that we created, but I discussed this book. In 489 pages, you'll find out so much information, great information, about, in a sense, what the Aboriginal foundational Black Americans did. You're going to see, in a sense, that Black people contributed much here. When the first Europeans got here, that's what they found. Yes, they found Black Aboriginals inhabiting the Americas. It was the Black Aboriginals that built this country. This is why you had to get my book, History and Culture of the Aboriginal Blacks of the Americas. In this book, you will find out the truth. You will know what we created. You will know who we are. Get this book. Buy it now. Again, hopefully you'll check out those books, and you're going to get that hoodie from Eve. And the thing is, this is that it's let's support the community. How you doing, Cooley Eve? Let's support the community. Let's share. Black Star, let's share. Because see, here's our problem is that, a lot of people say, Dr. Winters, how have you been able to do this research? And the reason that I've been able to do this research is that I was able to siphon off money. I had a very good wife, and she was pretty. She wanted to make sure they had the finest clothes and shit. And if I could afford them, I got them. She wanted to look good, I think, with women, they want to look good more for each other than for you. But what can I say? But anyway, and so then, but then I would say, okay, baby, I need some money to do this. I got to get some books to do that. And so then I would maybe take some of the money that I should have been buying food or something, or even maybe buying her a new outfit. I would take that cash and use it to go to libraries and make copies, because one of the things that allowed me to do a lot of research is because of the fact, in the sense, is that I had, we're going to get back to the topic, but allowed me to do a lot of research. I learned a lot of foreign language. I learned around 5 or 6, 7, 8. I don't know. They all have understand Kiswahili, bonjour, como va tu, abiento. I don't know. They all might come out at any time. But again, in a sense, is that one of the things that hurt us, though, is that we don't support each other. We don't support each other when it comes to the products that we produce. We don't support each other when we have schools or teachers. The two things in America, and this is not just a Black problem. The two things in America that Americans do not like to pay for is, number one, they don't like to pay teachers and education, and number two, they don't like to pay doctors. And because, see, traditionally, doctors and teachers, the community would provide you a place to stay in their rotten, nasty, smoky, musty houses while you teach their kids, or you treat them medically. Not to say that these houses were bad, but it's just our idea is that we have to learn to provide money. I'm a very lucky person. Is that because of the fact that I had a wife who could sometimes didn't mind if I maybe spend some money on some research. I was able to do the work. I was able to do the research I do. I mean, that's why I got about 300 or 400 published articles, 40 books, and it's not bragging, but it's just saying that I was able to do that. Right. Now today, I'm very lucky. I have a very good Patreon, and they support me a lot. I'm not gonna name this person today. We were talking, and I said, "Well, hey, what are you doing this? You gotta do this better." She said, "Dr. Winters, I don't have a good Patreon like you." She's right. But the point is, this is that, so I love it. You guys join my Patreon, buy Eve stuff, buy my books. Support Yoshima, because that's what it is. It's all about sharing. You see, because it's painful. That's a lot of pain too. You don't know the pain that you feel when you know that you're trying to do stuff for the people, and the people are against you, or the people attacking you. I can't even believe how you felt, Eve, knowing that you've always been a strong sister. The way I met you and knew you was always moderating on moderating for all the so-called brothers on their on their on their on the night line. What is that? Not Twitter, but
On what? Not on Twitter, on YouTube?
no,
What?
on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you always
Spaces.
used to be moderating for the brothers, and
Yeah.
you're always supportive. You always be you, and I think that's very important, because when we had that little debate when we did our first show, and I said that love is a state of mind, and you corrected me. You said no, love is a state of being, and I think that Afrocentrism is a state of being, and then sometimes how you deal with pain. Don't you think that also relates to a state of being?
I don't think I thought about it. But sure, if you can't get past that, then that is what you're putting out. It's the energy that's around you. So yeah, I guess it's not just in your mind, because, if it's that debilitating pain, like we talked about earlier with the depression, that is your existence right now for however long it was. And yeah, I mean, some people might say that it's mental, but then those are the same people who tell you that everything's going to be okay, when you can't tell somebody that if you don't know what's going to come next.
Why not?
Well, because it's not a fair assessment of things. You can't. To the teacher point, there's always going to be the teacher who has this bleeding heart for students, and then will go above and beyond for students, and then they don't necessarily get the appreciation for going above and beyond. And I've seen those same teachers burn out from how much they've given, and then now they're jaded. So 20 years ago, they were go-getter. They just really were into their position and educating, and because there's so many children who are out here lacking and needing,
Mm-hmm.
and their whole reason for being there was because they wanted to help. They've now drowned themselves in all of these little painful situations. They've taken on so much, and if there's no thank you, or because sometimes the parents have no idea how much you've done for their child, because you're not out here looking for those accolades or that appreciation, as much as it's nice to be acknowledged, or it's nice that that somebody stepped in and went to their play or showed up to their basketball game because you weren't there. But those thank yous are few and far between. So many years and so many thousands of students, and now you're just out here all angry because that love that you were just dishing out just never circled back.
I think that's a teacher who's a faker, and I met many of those fakers. And what I mean by a faker is because of the fact I taught for 46 years. I started teaching in 1972, 73 when I graduated from university. And I taught public school, private schools, all type of schools, taught in the prisons. What I found, in a sense, is that there are fakers, because see, when you fall in love, you're in love.
Yeah.
And when you really love students, when you really love students, you don't expect them to give you anything back. That's what love is all about.
Right.
That's why it's a surprise. That's why when you can as a teacher have to do things like, for example, I used to I've always been a lover of history. So what I would do is that I would always want my kids to participate in a citywide history fair. Mm-hmm. I'd want them to do display boards and all that type of stuff, because I felt, in the senses that in this way they can learn to present, and they can learn, in a sense, how to do research. And so then so what I found is that used to make me feel good, because I had to translate that good feeling, not from them specifically saying thank you, but I had to translate that into seeing them accomplish things and be able to move forward, because see, every kid is not going to build you up, but your children are the same way. Some of them disappoint you. And then people will say, why are you upset about Mary? My Johnny, he's more fucked up than your Mary. but that's my Mary. And because Mary didn't do what I want her to do, or what I would hope she would do, then therefore that hurts me. The same thing. And so when you find a teacher who's like that and a teacher who's bitter, that teacher was bitter in the first place. I used to be surprised that I used to be with some teachers and I loved the hell out of them. They were my friends and I loved them. I mean it. I loved them. I sincerely loved them. But they grew up in the projects, but somewhere along the line, they couldn't understand other project kids.
See, and that's disappointing to me because the peer educators that have told me their story about how dedicated they were, and now they just don't have the same care because of all of the thankless nights and such. I always thought that was sad, because I didn't become a teacher to have off in the summertime. I'm not a teacher because it pays great, so what they were asking for just kind of seemed like, not saying that you shouldn't want things, but maybe there's a different way to go about it. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't burn yourself out, because how are you going to help them tomorrow if you're not here because of the burnout?
But see, that's because of the sense is that they didn't know how to release the pain. And see, that's why they didn't know how to release their weakness. See, their weakness was the fact in the sense that they had a wrong idea about education. When I went to school, my parents had a fourth grade education. Because my parents had a fourth grade education, then therefore, in a sense, I didn't expect, the teachers didn't expect me to come to school already knowing everything. So the teachers had to teach me as if I didn't know it. And that allowed me to grow and to be a better student. But see, by the 1980s, they were teaching teachers that kids would already know everything. They should know the alphabet, they should know how to spell, they should know how to drive a car, they should know how to navigate to Mars. You think I'm joking? I mean, look, by the early 2000s, they wouldn't let us teach kids how to cursive right.
That's right.
They wouldn't let us teach kids how to spell. How do you learn how to read if you can't spell?
Yeah, that you told me that last time, and I'm still floored by that. But then I see people every day that's sad, and that's painful, right? Because we have to exist with these people who don't know how to spell, don't know the difference between the different yours and theirs, and just that words have meaning
too. They don't know one is T-O and the other one is T-O-O.
That's true too.
And but when I went in education, I felt that I was a teacher, and so I always felt I didn't expect kids. I didn't expect them to teach their kids any damn thing. I felt it was my job to teach them. For example, every kid can go to school. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, U, R, S, T, W, U, Y, miss some Z, whatever. And then they say, I know my ABCs. So they come to school, and then they know the ABCs, and then the kids say, you can't read, because it's not really A, B, C, D. It's abacadafa, abacadafa. It's a sound, but they've been taught in a sense the name of a letter.
Right.
They've been taught the name of a letter, and so it's very hard because of the fact that their mom spent at least 2 years teaching them that alphabet song. It's very hard sometimes, especially to teach hard-headed boys. It's very hard to teach them how the letter sounds. See, not the letter name. Do you see what I'm saying?
No. The decoding aspect and just phonics and how the sounds. I never thought about it like that.
That they know the name,
right?
They know the name.
Associate the sound with said letter until they get that practice. So knowing the alphabet kind of is a moot point.
And then the girls, they pick it up fast because they can use both sides of their brain. But as a boy, boys use their brain through a serial process. They go 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas girls go 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 6. because they use both sides of their brains at all times. That's why you can't outthink a woman. That's why any man who tries to outthink a woman, you always lose, because you can't outthink a woman, because a woman has already thought of the answer when she asks you a question. So you lose. So a smart man, my father told me a smart man, he just be quiet. And then after she get tired of arguing with herself, then she'll leave you alone. But no, seriously though, neuroscience shows us that women can use both sides of their brain. So in a sense, so when a woman says that pain releases the weakness, in a way, maybe that can be true for them, because see, the weakness comes from the fact is that is maybe in a sense they have to capture something. And though maybe women don't really ever see a real weakness. And when they do feel weak, once they understand it and they put it out through pain, then therefore, in a sense, maybe that can be some sort of result. For example, let's look at a baby. When you think about it, like my wife, a lot of times she say, I'm pregnant after we had sex, I'm pregnant. I say, okay, and she would end up being pregnant. But the thing is, but then the baby it's a lot of pain having that baby. I can imagine, I can just imagine, I never been through it, but I can imagine it's a lot of pain. And yet you'll find women, they'll go through that type of terrible pain and then want another baby and another baby and another baby. And so in a way, no, we got to look at this from a real perspective. They don't have to do that. They don't even have to have one baby for you. They don't even have to have none baby for you. See, that's why to me, I honor the mama, because see, the mama don't have to be the mama. Mama could just be the vessel. I mean, it's more fun just to have sex all the time anyway than have a baby. They get in the way, But in a sense, is that's part of the process. You see, but you never understand these things if you've never had a partner. You see, so when you got people like the Black Authority trying to teach people about life, when he never had a good relationship to me with anybody. He's never been married. He's never had a partner. He's so self-centered and very selfish, and he's very materialistic. The way he's always talking about his truck business. But how can he give you that? It was the same thing with Kevin. I love Kevin's advice and stuff like that, but Kevin didn't know issue about, because he had been married twice and neither one of them worked out. And then he's talking about love of the Black woman. Then he died from having sex with a young Latina. I mean, hey, it's come on now.
Not right.
Victory.
The hypocrisy is real.
It is hypocrisy, and so then what does he stand on? And yet you still see people like O'Shea Duke Jackson. So the master's there. Yeah, fuck the master. He wasn't a master because he didn't live his life. You see.
That's right.
Now, then people say, well, Clyde, you better hope you don't die hypocrite. I'll tell you this, I may die hypocrite, because I do not drink, but I might get so pained that I might start drinking. So I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that.
No.
See, so I think that in terms of how do you get rid of weakness? Because see, to me as a man, I saw getting weakness maybe in a way it was through pain. You're an athlete. I was an athlete. Our coaches always told us you're never hurt. Don't think about it. Just keep on going. And you may remember a time, and I remember times when I played, and I know I was out of it. I was totally out, but I played the whole game. Mm-hmm. And I was hurting really bad later, but I played the whole game. I was able to run. I was able to jump. I was able to tackle. And then I said, damn, how could I do that? And so in a way, it is mind over matter. But see, in playing through pain, you see, in a way you do release weakness. How did you feel you released weakness when you played through pain?
It was a cathartic, right? You kind of outside of yourself, and you, like you were talking about with superhero powers. after it's all said and done, and you were like, man, you really starting the adrenaline. That's what it is. I think adrenaline comes in, and because I'm there to do something, everything else doesn't really matter. You can kind of turn that stuff off. And I found that as an athlete, it's easy when you're performing. It's a physical performance, some things, and then from there, if you've given it your all, then you should feel it. As a coach, I've had runners who've ran to the brink of, throwing up after their race because that's how hard they went. And I'm always surprised that they can go even harder if, the next time. And when people start surpassing their personal best, they're starting to see the benefit to working hard. Winning always cures a lot of that. It makes the pain worth it. So now you've associated this release of weakness with winning. So, you can go through a little bit of that if, at the end of the day, it means that you're going to be triumphant. So I think that type of pain and release makes sense. But the other type that we were talking about, that internal, I can't explain it to you because it's my own pain and you might not have been there, or you might not know how to feel the same way that I feel. That's a little bit hard because how do you release? Am I crying for days at a time? Am I going to write in my journal and burn it up, or write a letter and drop it in the ocean? Like, what's the release? And if it's not in the same realm of the pain, then have you let it go? And those are questions that I've had to ask myself with regards to what we've been talking about and just my week in general, because some of the stuff, if I don't let it go, it just feels like a constant pouring. It's just constant. I have zero way to turn off the tap. But if I let some of the stuff go, then it's almost like a night and day difference in how it feels.
But see, that's the whole problem, is that it's really hard. It's really hard to get over that, because I'll go back to my depression. When I was depressed, and and I couldn't see this with my wife, and I was kind of in a way, I did what I did. I tried to carry through, and I tried to do everything a good husband would do and be supportive, but it wasn't sincere. It wasn't sincere. And so then I was doing it because of the fact that I know how to play my role at that particular time. You see, but then when it happened to me, I found that the pain was the weakness. I found that I felt weaker and weaker by the simple fact that I couldn't get over it fast enough. I felt weaker and weaker because the fact, in the sense, is that that shouldn't happen to me. I'm a man. I'm strong. I'm strength. My family, my sons, my daughter, my wife, they're looking up to me as being the free, me being the standard. And yet I was feeling weak. And I didn't really, in a sense, and until I could get through that, I couldn't regain any strength. I didn't have any idea in terms of my own agency. And I think that's one of the things that happened. But like you said, when you play a game and you were hurt, and then you win the game, you feel good. But it looks like when you lose the game, you feel it's even harder. So in a way, it's how do you go through that thing? How can you release that weakness and at the same time be comfortable with who you are? Because see, to me, as long as we keep something in our head that's beautiful, see, because see, until it's spoken, you're okay. It's just like you said this week. Every day that you went into these conversations, they kept bringing up this whole idea, because see, the whole point is that they were listening to their inner devil, and no matter what we say, is that we do have this inner devil inside of us. We have this devil that comes up, and it wants us to say things and if we don't try to manage it, then we're mean to each other. That's why I said hurt people don't hurt people. You know, it's assholes that hurt people because see,
Everybody's hurting, right?
yeah, because everybody's been hurt in some way. It may
Right.
not be to the same degree. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a cop out, that hurt people thing.
Yeah,
And
I do too.
for the same reason that you were talking about, if not even a more focused, just that, you know, we all have to live and exist. And if everybody who's hurt was out here hurting people, then I don't know if we'd be, you know, moving in any positive direction forward. You know, it'd be a lot of confusion and circles. People, I think that when people say hurt people, it's their empathy speaking through, or sympathy. No, I think it's empathy. I think their empathy is coming through because, you know, they either want people to feel bad for them when they're going through whatever it is. So they're trying to blanket statement this hurt thing. So now I've given an excuse for whatever behavior that I'm about to dish out on people, when, you know, it's not like that. You got the whole stereotype, and maybe this is true, maybe it's not, but when women are going through their moon cycles and you get the bear, you know, you're, and then she blames it on her cycle. And, you know, all women aren't like that. Some women, a lot of women might be like that, but I think that those women haven't really been able to put their pain into any type of perception, or they can't explain it to people. And, you know, now I know some women who've taken off work because of their cycle. And that's strange to me, even though I go through the same cycle. It's painful. You know, there's pain. It's been real bad pain sometimes, but never to the point where I had to call out. So now I'm wondering, are they just using that? Should I start using that? Like, what's going on?
But see, but that's the whole thing that you were saying earlier. What is pain? What is the level of somebody else's pain?
Right. And from there, you know, is it fair for me to say something that's not as painful isn't as painful for other people? We can go to childbirth, like you were talking about with your wife and the women who are cursing people out and stuff. I've seen that and heard that. And I've also experienced childbirth, but I was never like that, never angry like that. It's very thankful, you know, for the people around me. You know, it seemed like a good time to make sure people know that I really want to still be here after it's all said and done. Yeah. So, but I'm not saying it didn't hurt, but I am saying that I think we forget the pain, and then depending on what's accomplished from it, do we go and try again? Which is what we were talking about with sports. At least when we're rearing and birthing children. I think that that's something that we want to do. And, you know, after you have a successful situation, pregnancy, childbirth, you know, some years pass or not. I don't know how some people go back to back to back. I don't know how that happens. But, you know, when you're ready to do it again, you kind of forget the pain of labor all the way up until those contractions start. And you're like, oh, man, did I do this all over again?
But don't we forget everything we like? You know, for example, I'll give you an example. Now, hold that thought. I've watched the original Star Trek hundreds of times, and yet every time I look at a show, I can't remember the ending. But I've seen this show hundreds of times, but I don't want to. It's like I don't want to remember. So is that kind of what it is? Like, I guess it's the same when you're having a baby, when you're having pain, when you're playing football or running track, and you just in a sense you just submerge the pain, you know.
Sure, put it in a box, you know, because again, after it's over, you feel it. Every birth that I've had that was not with an epidural and it was natural, the adrenaline really is an internal drug that happens, you know, and you can't feel, or at least I couldn't feel. Yeah. And then after I felt, I felt everything. Yeah. and it's it's amazing how much the body can go through with, no pain management. And, but then some people have told me that they will not get pregnant or any type of labor if they know that they can't have an epidural. If they can't have that, I don't want to feel it, just cut it out of me or whatever.
Wow.
And that was always kind of strange to me because it seems like a process that I would want to remember. Even though at the end of the day, 5 children later, I can't tell you what labor felt like. I just know it wasn't cool. It was cool, but it wasn't cool.
But like my wife never wanted epidurals because late in her building, because if you move, you're paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
If you move, you had to be totally still, And the thing is this though is that so in other words, pain. So in other words, a lot of times we're releasing weakness mainly based upon how we think about a situation.
Ooh.
So is that it's not a general maxim, but is it how we think that determines how we in a sense are able to approach pain?
I think that's a good thought. I'm gonna pose it back to you with football. The first time you got tackled didn't feel like the 10th time you got tackled, did it? Or was it the same hit? Or now that you know how it felt, you could brace for it. You knew how to accept that hit.
Yeah, you do, because they teach you how to fall. They teach you, the first thing you learn is how to fall. What are you talking about? Because you're going to get knocked down, so you learn how to fall. But, you brought up something that was very interesting. David Imhotep, may rest in power. David and I, we used to talk a lot about football because he was a running back and I was and I played linebacker. So he used to always, he was his birthday came before me. So he always said, "Clyde, you're my little brother," even though I'm bigger than him, real bigger than him. But then, but when you talked about that pain thing, David told me that he used to play at the University of Maryland. And he told me that when he got that last hit, he remembered that last hit that really started him being able to play football. He could remember it because he said it was a hit that was so different from all the other hits because they hit him in the back, and it was a hit that was that in a sense that ended his football career. But at the same time, I think is that we go through so much of life, and so we go through so much of life, and we're trying to disguise our pain, and or we don't want people to know our weaknesses. Is that what we do? Are we really disguising our weakness and using pain as a cover?
So then I would say that people, if that's the case, right, people would have to start talking about their weaknesses more and then why it's so painful. So I guess, for example, if you're shy and then, you don't want to be around people, so then being shy is your weakness, and then it would be painful to try to do something about that because you've already accepted that this is how you are. So then now you have to change to be around people or to even go be around people. That would be a whole mood swing of sorts because it's not something you wanted to do, but something you would need to practice if, you're a person who wanted to be around people. But again, if you're shy, maybe it doesn't come out the right way, so now this whole thing that you were trying to do, it turns out bad and now you don't do it anymore. I think that's crazy because I never thought about it like the pain being a disguise of something else. I was always thinking that was the end result, or that's the variable that we should be tackling. After you don't feel pain anymore, then you're not weak. With our muscles, as they are broken down, you give it rest and you feed it protein. Well, now you've got big, strong muscles because that's the science behind it. And things should be more simple like that, right?
Yeah, but deep down, you don't really believe it. Deep down, when you run and you work hard and you do all these extra reps, and you say, "Damn, wow." But then, as and see, Eve, as you've been doing this for so long that you had to change up too. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes you had to take a week or two off
Right.
from really going to the gym. Why? So your metabolism can be food, so you can build it back up. Because when your metabolism has a certain regime and it knows what you're going to do, after a while, if you do 100 every day, it doesn't have as great an impact as when
Right.
you was doing maybe 20 or 30. And so then what you find in a sense is that pain is used in a sense. Pain is used as a way to not, in a sense, I think, always release our weakness, but it's a way that we can make a mask, that we can mask our weakness, because nobody wants to be weak, because nobody.
Yeah. I think that's I think that's a you keep coming back to it being a mask of sorts, and I I want to go there, right? But I want to know that it's not. No, okay, if it's a mask, then we can take it off, right? So
Mhm.
from there, if people are walking around in their Halloween costume all day because that's easier, then, I maybe as long as everybody knows that we're wearing masks, right? We're all wearing masks at that point because nothing's real.
But
But
you can't. But you
okay.
can't take it off. It's just like this past week when everybody kept bringing up Jeremy.
Mhm.
Then in a sense they kept picking away at the mask, chipping it away.
That's true because, well, to the point of taking the mask off, once it start leaving things alone or at least releasing. And when I say release, I mean not holding things back or not holding it in, because what am I being so reserved for? I'm not
Mhm.
the one who did anything wrong. But to, a bigger point is that, what's the purpose of the release? And if it's not constructive, then should I even release? And I think that sometimes people uh, they get at the end of somebody else's release, and it's unfortunate because they weren't the deserving party. So, as long as the releases are constructive, then that makes sense to me. But people picking away at my mask or, my pain, and then not offering any sort of constructive dialogue, it's just to pick at it. That seems toxic. It seems like we want to wallow in this pain. And I don't know what that's about unless misery loves company. Is that where we are? It's a bunch of miserable people who want to just wallow in that misery.
No, because see the misery isn't that person. See, you're the one that's having misery because you have limits. See, the whole point is this: is like when I used to think about my wife, and I used to, in a sense, I used to see her, and it's a painting by this brother, and I used to see her in the in front of the and in our new house, the house we bought before she died. We had a very big bathroom, and she could sit in her chair and she could look in the mirror, and then I was always wondering what was she thinking about, and I think that that's the thing about human beings. I think, Eve, is that sometimes we don't really want to take the mask off, but we always take the mask off, and we wear many masks. But the point is this: is that it's that when I looked at her sitting in the bathroom, combing her hair or looking in the mirror, and just sitting there thinking, sitting in her bureau chair, then it made me just say, is that why do I have the nerve to want to invade her mind, invade her being, you see. And I think that that's what happened this past week when you were dealing with those people, is that these people, they wanted to go into your spiritual being. They wanted, in a sense, to crush you. They wanted to defeat you, and they wanted to bring you down, and the way they felt they could bring you down is by having you expose something that's really nothing, but it's important to you. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's a good point. Because, a lot of people are spectators and bystanders. And I found that that's kind of painful too, because, in the event of an emergency, you would want people to respond. I hate people who are, somebody else will do it. I hate that because I'm not that person. If I see something that needs help or action, I'm trying to assist. I don't want to call myself a first responder, but I feel like I am a first responder. If I know about something first, I'm going to respond to it, to my detriment, I might add. And that, maybe that's not the best way to be, but I am authentically me, however you want to slice it. And I think that people might use that because they don't know how to navigate certain things or feelings or emotions. And maybe I can be an example of sorts of how to not let it do what everybody keeps wanting it to do. Because that's kind of like this underlying thing, it hasn't broke you. It hasn't broke you. You still doing lives? You live with Dr. Winters on Wednesday? Yeah, I'm live with Dr. Winters on. Why wouldn't I be? Like, what are y'all talking about at this point? And then again, I'm brought back to, is it constructive what we're even doing? And if it's not, then I'm questioning motives. I'm having all sorts of questions for people, not for people, but just about people that I didn't even think that this was how my day was going to go. And now I'm questioning you because you asking me all these questions that aren't going anywhere.
Of course, remember, in a sense, that's education. Mm-hmm. That's knowledge. That's knowledge building. You see, because the whole beauty in a sense of Socrates. That's how I knew he was a nigger. And the first time I read about Socrates when I was in high school, I felt, hey, he must be a brother. Later, he was an Athenian, so he was a brother. It's that, see, it's through questions that you arrive at your reality, whatever it is. Because, see, our realities are all relative. Our realities, in a sense, push us forward. Our realities allow us to be who and what we are. See, because the fact is that I feel that nobody, I felt all my life, and I feel till the day I die, that nobody, in a sense, allows me to be who I am. Because everybody, in a sense, pictures you the way they want to picture you. Everybody, in the way they see you, the way they want to see you. They feel you the way they want to feel you. And so then what you had to do as an individual is that you had to set a limit, like doing those conversations this week. You see, some of them pushed you overboard. Some of them you said you talked too much in some of those meetings, but then you caught yourself. You see, but then even though you may have went over what you really wanted to communicate, you still had a basic group of symbols that you weren't going to cross, a basic group of symbols that you weren't, in a sense, wasn't going to tell everybody. And see, that's that whole point. But see, that's the thing as a human being, even somebody who loves you, listen to this, even somebody who loves you, they still don't want to let you have your own thoughts.
What, is it a control thing?
No, it's not a control thing. It's the thing that you love her, you love him, but you feel that somehow they're locking you out. Mm. And see, when you love somebody, you want to be completely in. That's why you love a baby. You love a baby. You love a baby between 0 to about 18 months. You love the hell out of that baby. So you can kiss them, you can lump them, you can just do all, just mushy their face and everything, and kiss on them and everything, and because they got those nice little cheeks, but then when they get about 18, and because see, and see, that's that whole point is that's why we love, and this is not, and for you guys out there who are weird and never had a child, you don't understand these things. But the point is but after a while, your child decides, in a sense, that they have their own volition, they have their own agency. You can only know, the worst word that a kid or an adult can learn is the word no. No. That is the most powerful word in the universe. Nowadays, like they say nowadays, before you can before two consenting couples can have sex, they got to sign a paper. In my day, if you asked a woman, in my day, if you asked your wife, let's have love, let's make love, she would say no. If you had to ask, you didn't get it. You didn't get none. But it's different nowadays. You had to have a contract. And so what I'm saying is this: is that we wear so many masks, and sometimes we will let the mask be tore a little bit away. But see, as an individual, you see, you can't let the mask be broken completely. Let's take men, for instance. When you find a bunch of guys, they talk best when they got a bottle in their hand, or they got some JB and they're pouring shots. You know, these brothers are talking about all type of shit. They'll talk about their deepest fears, their deepest emotions, you see. You know, but if you caught them and you didn't have any drink, they wouldn't talk about ish. And I feel even though they're listening, even though they know that what you're talking is sincere, even though they know they're saying things that they want to say, they want to have that cushion. They want to have that beer or that drink, so they can maybe say, "Oh, I was a little tipsy, or maybe I drank a little too much." And don't really take that to heart. That was just a joke. No, it was sincere. See, but it's how do we do this? And see, as a woman, you know, as a woman and a man, see, this is the whole point. You see, remember we were once talking about your 7-year-old child. You see your 7-year-old as a child. As your 7-year-old's teacher, I see them as a little adult. They're sneaky,
Right.
trying to be conniving, and I have to, in a sense, keep an eye on. You
Right.
see, but they're 7 years old. But see, so much depends on perception. And so when you're in those talk groups, you know, in a sense, what they were trying to do is that they were trying to weaken you. And the way they wanted to weaken you is that they didn't want you to find, you know, a release of pain. They wanted to instill in you pain, you see.
Yeah.
Because see, the thing is this, is that no matter what, you know, I don't like everything that Fuller tells us, but in a sense, he says you should always try to have constructive conversations, you see.
Right.
But Nellie Fuller, I love you, but sometimes you like to have silly conversations, just as long as you don't get into fisticuffs and stuff like that.
No, that's real. But that is a driving principle for a lot of the conversations that I've been having recently, making sure that they are constructive, because I have other stuff to do. You know, if I'm gonna have a silly conversation, I have 5 beautiful children with imaginations out of this world. You know, I got a gang of students that I can go be silly with. I would be silly with my man. You know, he's silly from time to time. You know, I have to put some of these things in the right box, or I'm gonna go crazy probably. I don't know how anybody can keep all of it together in one big mush of their existence or their perception of reality without having, you know, different spots for it, being a time and place for everything, you know. So I would never go to school with, you know, a lot of what's going on, because it's not the time for that. And then in the same breath, you know, if I'm having an adult conversation, you know, the children know that they shouldn't be around for that because it's not the time for that. So, you know, I think that some of these things we know, but then we're not practicing. Like you said earlier, you know, Kevin dying with a Latina lady is kind of strange when that's not how he talked about, you know, having different relations. So,
Yeah.
well, if people are going to be backwards, then so be it. But, you know, I need the math across the board, because I feel like we're not further ahead as a people because of all of this confusion and all of this pain and all of this weakness.
I think we're not further ahead because we're not talking about the things that really matter. You know, see, it's just like this conversation today, this conversation tonight. This is a conversation that matters because it's something that you want to inquire, you want to think about. But see, most of the time, if you go to the average Black forum, they're not going to be talking about anything like this,
Right.
because this is too natural. And see, people don't like the natural. People are afraid of the natural because see, if you talk about things that are natural, then that puts fear in people because see, nobody wants to believe that there's anything natural. It's better to have something that's harder, something that's desperate, something that's important. But see, just talking about everyday things, those are the things that make you strong. Those are the things that we inquire about. Those are the things that resonate with us. But we don't really know that because see, most of us, unless we're talking with our partners, and even sometimes they don't want to talk about it because they either want to go to sleep or whatever, because they had a hard day or whatever, But it's certain things. Yes, it's certain things that it's certain things that you want to think about, certain things you want to talk about, and that's why you want to be able, in a sense, to sometimes just be a human being, and it's hard. It's very hard to be a Black human being. It's very hard to be a foundational Black American human being because of the fact that people are always waiting for you to do things. They're always judging you. They're always, in a sense, wanting to see a weakness. They want to see a weakness in you. You know that. That started with me in high school when at lunch.
Is it because we all have weaknesses? It's I don't want you to see my weakness because I can't see your weakness.
Yeah, you see. But see, they don't have any strength. I don't mind if you see my weakness. What does it matter? See?
Right.
Because you don't see, you don't know me. That's scary. That's scary. That's scary. Because if I say you don't know me, family, then that's the same thing I would have to say about my wife. You don't know me. And she can say, Clyde, you don't know me. And she's absolutely correct. Why is she correct?
It's your vision of her, not necessarily what she's said that she is, but how you see her. Everybody sees people how they see them.
Go
ahead.
Not only that, but you don't give everything. You don't tell your partner everything. And then people say, oh, she's lying to her partner. No, it's little teeny weeny tiny things, but it's your thing. And some things you don't share with others. Not because it's negative, not because it's positive, but it's your thing. Right. And see, this is why sometimes when you say that pain, when you say that pain, in a sense, is power. When you're saying, in a sense, that is to pain, that you release weakness. Because the point is that whenever you just relax and you say, damn it, you know what? I really don't feel like doing this. See?
Yeah.
That means you've given up something. You've released that weakness that you were feeling because you just admitted to it. That don't mean that you're going to give in to it totally. You're not going to give in to it totally, but through your admission, you're able, in a sense, to release. You're able to release, that weakness because you've admitted to the pain. And by admitting to the pain, the weakness will grow. The weakness will go away. Because it's always this whole matter, as I said, as a man from growing up and being taught by my father, I see strength as being important. Then by becoming an athlete, playing football, you running track, you see that strength is important. You see, in a sense, that pain should not be seen as a weakness. You see pain as a way that you struggle through it, and it'll make you better in a way. So they say, I don't know if that's true or not. You see, because the thing is this, is that it helped me survive. It helped me accomplish things, you see. But it's that whole fact is that certain little nodules, certain little nodules of knowledge, you want to keep that to yourself. Is there anything wrong with that?
I don't think so. But people will tell you that there's something wrong with it in the same breath that they'll tell you that you can't be a quitter. Like your coach told you, you can't give up. I don't want to see no dirt on your uniform. Don't let somebody not finish their race. Oh, that's unheard of. Like,
yeah,
be the last person, but you're gonna finish that race. You need to finish that lap. So you can't be a quitter. And then people will people will run that, till the day is long. And, so then me will take on this go-getter, non-quitter attitude of, I can keep doing this. I can do this. I can keep doing this because I'm not a quitter. This isn't gonna, break me.
Mhm.
But some stuff it's easier to just let go. If it's
Right.
off my circulation, am I strong because, now I've got blue fingers, or, is it better to let that shit go and then come back at it, at a different time. So
But see, that's why if you can build a relationship up with somebody, it's good to be able to do that. Because when you can just sometimes just be yourself, you can be that silly person. That was silly. But that's just me being silly with somebody else who accept my silliness.
mhm,
And what's wrong with that? And you accept their silliness, you know? You
right.
know, it's just like your child. Like your child, when your child gets sick and your child is messing over themselves and all that type of stuff, and you had to clean it up. I mean, hell, that's one of those things, but you don't think about it. Now, when they get older, they can pick up their own vomit, but when they're little, but see, it's this whole idea. And so, yes, is that we're always trying to use pain as a way to release weakness, because it's through our pain that we're able, in a sense, to accept the fact that, hey, this has weakened me. This has done something to me, but now I'm going to be stronger, because in the sense is that I'm accepting this, and once I get through this, it should be better.
I think of plants, as it's growing season, and then the conditions that are outside. If you put your seedling outside, or if you put it in the weather and the environment before it's ready, it could die because it's too harsh. It's too much wind, it's too much rain, it's too cold, it's not warm enough. But give it a little bit of time, that same seedling is still pretty weak, but being exposed to the elements actually will make it stronger. It'll turn into a plant that's now has a stalk, and that stalk will, if you do what you're supposed to do to it, it'll start to give you some produce depending on the type of plant. And I just keep thinking about the timing aspect. If it's too soon, then it's gonna die. But if it's at the right time, then this is the weathering season. This is the opportunity for that plant to really, lay down some roots and get in there so that it can do what it's supposed to do for my garden. And
Yeah.
I can appreciate that type of example, but the timing, if if I force myself out there, or if I force myself to engage in certain conversation, then it might be too soon because I might not be quite ready for all of that. But just more time passing, and the understanding of the conditions, I can attack it a little bit different. And
Yeah.
you know,
You're
get
always going to attack things, but the most important thing is how do you grow? How do you release? How do you be all that you can be? And the thing is, this is that you need a sanctuary. You need a place where you can sometimes run and you can hide. And as I said, you know, that's why I was able to just observe things, observe my mother, observe my wife, and just watch things, and try to understand, even though I don't want to understand.
I think maybe some people don't want to understand because it's too hard. Maybe those same people don't know how to spell. Maybe they're lacking in some competencies, and because of it, they want things spelled out for them. But from there, if I got to tell you how to feel, then you should feel that way. God damn it! Like I just spent a whole hour telling you how to feel. At this point, like, what are we doing here?
But that's the whole point. But sometimes you don't want to really, in a sense, understand, because you say, why should you understand? Because see, if you understand, then you have to accept that you know something and you don't really know it. Trelina Gibson, how you doing? Said a book called The Mastery of Love helped me gain the proper way to prevent a person's projected pain onto me. That's true. you can find ways, but again, in a sense, is that sometimes, and what I began to realize as a result of this conversation is that sometimes we need pain, and the reason we need this pain is because sometimes by a demonstration of pain, we resign ourselves to something that's bothering us, and because of the fact that we accept something that's bothering us, then we know we got to get rid of it. And I think that's how we're getting with it. That's how we're moving away from weakness into strength. I don't know.
I agree. I was thinking about illness and pain when you were just talking about that. And, if it hurts, then, now there's a problem there. And, until that hurt, you weren't even paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. But now you've got a physical indicator that something's wrong. Mm-hmm. And, you go somewhere to fix it, or you fix it yourself. But if you don't fix it, you could be causing more problems down the line because, you've ignored it. So I think pain is a trigger that we should pay attention to, not something we should shy away from at all.
But it's hard. It's hard. You're an athlete. I played football. And because of the fact that you're an athlete, sometimes we let pain last too long. We sometimes, especially things that deal with our body and exercise or whatever, or pain here, pain there, we'll say, okay, that's nothing. And then so sometimes it can last and it can fester maybe. But the point is this, is that I think that is that whole idea of trying to understand family is that you want to sometimes embrace pain. And sometimes you have to embrace painful things because of the fact is that by embracing painful things, sometimes you can begin to say, aha, it's about time I get rid of this. It's about time I get rid of this weakness, and that because you're releasing this weakness, because the fact is since that you finally realize that it's time it has to go. Yeah. It's time it has to go, and that's why a lot of times you want to get over this. And so now we'll go back to how this in a way began when we go back to this fellow, Jeremy, this Jeremy fellow, because the fact in a sense that he could never get over the fact that you had the nerve to see through his mask and that you tore his mask apart, then he wanted to try to hurt you years later or whatever. He wanted to try to hurt you. So then in a sense he could regain, he felt that would give him back some mastery over himself. He felt that would give him, in a sense, some way to say, aha, look at her now. She thinks she's so much ish. What does it matter? People fall in love. When people fall in love, you do silly things. When you're in love, look at all the silly things you do. I was looking at some TikTok videos today and all these people trying to be doing different things that are kind of silly, and then, and they're taking these pictures with their maybe their partners or boyfriends today. And they're kind of a little sexually explicit, TikTok pictures. And then you say to yourself, what if they break up and then they want to show that to the kids, Mm-hmm. What if they, or what if down the road, it's already out there. Anything on the internet is there forever, Right. But the thing is this, a lot of times we don't think about the fact there is a tomorrow. But when you're in love, who thinks about everything in love? I didn't.
I think people move. I've been a person to just go, just exist inside of the moment. And, that's sloppy. People should have more than one thought, but love is blind. Maybe that's the next topic. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Love is blind because damn, that's why we have friends. We don't ever look at their weaknesses. Shit. We wouldn't have nobody.
Well, right, because we talked about that too. Once you start knowing how people really work, their kinks and the things that might not make you like them anymore. If you have a pet peeve for people who show up late, and then that your friend just is gonna show up late, maybe you just let them have that. Because if you don't, then that might be
have that friend. Amir and Lester, you have no power struggle. Beautiful. That's right. That's how we get along. No power struggle. Because see, the thing is this, is that after a while, you start to see that you're struggling over nothing. Did you want to make a final comment before we close? It's almost 2 hours.
I think it's been real cool to, chop it up with you again for Reality Check. if you guys want to support the work, the research, my Cash App is right there, JustEvo3.
Yeah.
And Dr. Winters is there too, Olmec98. And he definitely does a lot more work than me. He's got way more time than I do. But no, I'm trying to catch up. Being an educator, would love to give the minis more. We want to expose them to more. So
Yeah.
you want our Patreon, FBA Sunday School on Patreon is a way that you can help get some minis to the promised land of knowing who they are and being cool with it. Because that's
right.
what
That is our future, and our children need that help. And the thing is, this is that as a teacher, so much of what we do at home at night. We do it on the computer, and we need that money. So as always, be supportive. I do my research based upon the fact of my Patreon. But thank you guys for visiting us today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Send us some topics if you wish. Again, take care. Good night.
Good night.